Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Karen's Kids Podcast. This is episode number 29.
29, y'all.
Always with my homie Jose.
What's up, everybody?
Ass, tits, drugs,
Yep.
scandal,
Yep.
murder,
Yep.
abortion,
Drinkless.
all of it. Alright, none of this episode's about that, but I feel like I had to grab the attention. Gotta grab them in the first fucking 10 seconds. I feel like if you don't get people's attention in the first 10 seconds of any video, you lost them.
Yeah, it's completely true.
Right? It's like our attention span went from like we had all the attention in the world. Like the world didn't have shit, right? No internet. Shit was slow as fuck. All you could do is watch paint dry, and you fucking loved it.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I'm talking about attention span. I'm trying to when it went from farmers, everyone was a farmer.
Yeah.
Their attention to like their crops and time moves slow.
Right.
It's like they got their now. It's like time moves so fast, right? If you don't grab people, TikTok might have single-handedly ruined the attention span of a whole generation of fucking youth. And it's like every video now. So if you're trying to be in the whole digital space, you have to play the fucking game.
Yep.
If you don't grab these motherfuckers' attention in 10 seconds, even I'm guilty of it. Right? Like you watch a video, if it's not good. I give movies like that. Like I tried to, me and my girl, I'll be like, let's try this movie out. And I always try to give a rule of thumb like 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes.
Okay, so you put on a movie, you wait 10 minutes, you're like, if I don't like it, you're changing.
If it doesn't grab me, in the first 15 minutes, I shut it off. But I feel like all movies, just like videos nowadays, like they better grab your attention immediately. So if you're a big box office $100 million or $1 billion budget like Avatar or whatever, actually $2 billion to break even, they said. In their first minute, as soon as you start the movie, you better grab my fucking attention. It's gotta be, you gotta have your whole movie, as chefs would call, the amuse-bouche. Right. You better have that in the first fucking minute.
Wait.
What the amuse-bouche is.
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
The amuse-bouche is when you're serving like a 5 or 7 course meal. Okay. The amuse-bouche is the first thing you give them. But it's basically like the flavor the whole night. Oh, I see. So it's like the whole night in one dish to wake up your senses.
Okay.
And then you start serving your courses. And so where I learned that? Where did you learn that? Like I learned anything else, I fucking watched it on, it was actually on, not everything, but I learned this on Netflix. So there's a really good show called Pressure Cooker. I think that's what it's called. It's called Pressure Cooker.
It doesn't sound at all like a good show, honestly.
No. It's very good on a lot of levels, and I think they're setting the standard for future shows to come. So, what it is a bunch of chefs are in they're in a competition type show.
Okay. There's
no host. There's nobody who came out there, and there's no host. So,
are there judges?
No visible judges. So that's what's so brilliant about this show is that it's a bunch of chefs. So the first challenge is they all have to do their thing. Then the first thing is all the chefs have to judge each other. So the judge with the lowest amount of thing is out. So boom, that's the first person out. Then that first person out is actually a judge of the next competition. So it's like they're always constantly using each other for either judgment, or whatever. It's like they're all rating each other's dishes, and it was kind of interesting. So like you seen the whole show, and it was pretty good. It was like, and they're all mixed ages. I think the youngest age was like 26. I think maybe 24.
What was the name of the show?
I think it was called Pressure Cooker.
Okay, Pressure Cooker.
And they were fighting for $100,000 grant towards, I think it was on Netflix. There you go. You didn't spell pressure right, you goofy. That's why it's not coming up.
Oh, I see.
You said presser. Like I'm pressing you. Anyways, so yeah, so then all I
He
showed
looks
the whole
European. Is this a European?
No,
show?
yeah, no, he's that dude's name is God, I can't think of it. It's a fucking whatever. But it's really it's a good show. But anyways, my point is, so they didn't have a host the whole time, and how they got orders was like in a restaurant, you get a ticket order. It comes up on the register. It comes up like a little fucking receipt. So that's how they got their directions. So there would be like a little announcement, receipt printing, and then I think it would get their attention as a collective.
Yeah.
And then it would grab this thing, and one of them would read it out and be like, okay, there's going to be 2 teams. You got yellow and green, and you guys decide your team. And it was kind of interesting because it was like no one's doing work but the camera guys and the editing team. You know what I'm saying? So it was almost like the most low budget way you can make a fucking Netflix show. You're not paying a fucking host. And I think there was judges in the background, because I think whenever a chef was a judge, I think he gave his input and he wrote it down on this like book that they all got to read, and he would go through all the dishes, and then in the meantime, like while they'd have the camera zoom in on them, and there's like, oh, this chicken's cooked perfectly, and like they'll make little notes, and then all the people in the competition would read it. But I do think if it was like a red team versus yellow team, there's judges who make the final decision. I think they just the one chef gets to like give their input. And then there's other judges, but you never get to see them. But there is one episode where all the family comes in. So all the remainder people that aren't eliminated, their family comes in. It's like, 14 of them. Then these guys are cooking they don't know who's... And every time you're judging, you don't know who cooked the thing. You're just eating it and judging it. And then, like, these guys have a certain style. So then towards the end, it started getting into, like... Oh, I know this person likes to make certain mole sauces, so I already know if there's a mole sauce, this person probably made it. It was an interesting show. I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds like you're just like a fly on the wall watching the restaurant work.
I feel like food shows work. It works on TV because all of us humans, we all need to eat. It's clear, right? This is an obvious statement, but we love looking at food, right? Because I think at some level our brain, when you see a food on TV, some of our reptilian monkey brain thinks that food is actually there. Because our brains are factoring in TVs. Our brains haven't evolved with TVs. TVs have been a fucking little blimp on are barely a grain of sand on our beach of fucking evolution of our brain. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So our brains don't know fucking TV. So that's why I think watching TV it's like hypnotizing. It's like literally you're hypnotized, because I think a weird part of you think that it's there. Obviously, you're not fucking reaching for the TV and grabbing for the food, because that your more formed brain can counteract your monkey brain thinking that that's there, but it still gets your attention. So you're still glued to the TV, because at some level you're like, hell yeah, that looks good. That looks fucking fire. I want to eat that. That's why it works. So I think Netflix, if you've noticed, I mean, I've been perusing Netflix lately. Half of it's cooking, half of it's food related.
It has to be what's on your Netflix.
Oh, that's true. It is a little. You're right. It is a little bit algorithm on my shit of what I've clicked. But I do feel like there's just in general food genre. It's a good percentage of what's on Netflix.
I imagine it is. If 51% of America is overweight,
right? But it's just. I think it's a good formula that works, because I think it's so natural for us to want to eat, and it's just watching people eat will always work.
You know what makes me curious? It's like, what do you watch and why do you watch it? Like, for me, it has to be something that's going to teach me. I do watch a lot of documentaries, but they're almost all like, they all tend to swing towards one thing, and it's like a question in my head that I haven't been able to fully answer. So most of them all swing towards that one thing. So like for you, what is it that what do you just is it for you to numb out, or like what is it? Why do you watch these food shows?
Why do I watch even what I watch?
Yeah,
I think food. I'm into food. I'm what I would like to consider a quote,
are you like
unquote,
developing your style or like learning? No. What is it?
All right, so I think with food with me, it started off in my early 20s. I think the whole food genre, other than like Julia Childs and some of those regular old basic cooking shows, in my early 20s, it became a little bit more like cool, more cultural, more like that's when the whole everyone taking pictures of their food, like Instagram and Facebook. Sure. There has never been a time where people took pictures of their food. There's almost, maybe there's newer, but there's almost no Polaroids of people's foods unless it was like a general picture of Thanksgiving, like as a family, and the food was just happened to be there. Think about this. In the 90s, your friends, when you were going through your friend's photo album, you never seen their dinner. You never once showed a plate of food.
So what is it? What is it? Why have people turned towards showing off their food, or
because I think
increments?
I think certain food show like food. Like I said, there's always been like Julia Child, some of those old school cooking shows that have always been there. Then somebody figured out a cooler way to do it, like a little bit cooler, a little bit more young. How do we get the younger people versus just the moms, the stay-at-home moms? And then I think somebody just made a cooler version, and then somebody else is like, oh, it became a blueprint. Then other people are like, oh, this worked, let's do our version. And then, like I said, food shows work so well because we just all love food. There's nobody who doesn't love food.
No, I get it. I know that we love food, but what the fuck is it about food? Why do you watch? Why do you watch what you watch?
Me personally is because I started liking to cook. I kind of like cooking, you know. I like cooking, and I like
getting ideas.
But I know the difference between good food and bad food. Like,
well, that's subjective.
True, but I think, you know, a McDonald's cheeseburger versus you know, a place like it's an Inside Cup, a place like Union in the city of Chicago. There's a bar called Union. And McDonald's can have a Big Mac. Union has what kind of tastes like a Big Mac, but it's like such a grown-up, real version of it. And it's like, if those two were ever in a head-to-head, McDonald's would never have a chance. You know, but...
Yeah, no, I think it's subjective. I mean, because if you grew up with like creme brulee and fucking, I don't know, 6-course meals all the time, like both of your parents were chefs and they were like on the high end or whatever, you're part of royalty, at some point you might want McDonald's, and it might be like, oh, this is so
but you would
outside of the norm that it's like so enjoyable.
Right. Food is definitely subjective because everyone's fucking mom is the best cook.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think when you get a little bit older and you start paying for food, and then, you know, I don't know what food, I mean, obviously we are all foodies at some level. We all need food to eat, right? But I started noticing the experience with food, going to certain places, and, you know, the ambiance, and then, you know, especially in the last few years, like, you know, a good cocktail with a good ambiance and good food. It's like the whole experience is like,
yeah,
food is like its own culture of thing. I guess it's really, I guess if you really think about it, that's kind of more of a is it a sign of prosperity?
Yeah, it is. I was gonna say it's a sign of culture.
Yeah,
and it's a level thing. Like you've leveled up if you're able to understand the flavors and what the chef is doing with the different spices to be able to entice your whatever he's trying to bring out in his presentation of the food.
Right. Well, because if you think about it, some of the world, a lot of the world, food is
scarce
fuel and source. It's like necessity.
Oh, yeah.
We're so abundant that we make it an event. Food is an event.
Right.
It's like it's no longer about like I just don't want to be hungry. It's like now we make whole events around food. That's how like prosperous I guess the United States is, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, because if you think about like throughout time, food has been one of those things that we have to work extra hard to get to. And nowadays, you could just walk into any restaurant and have like a really good warm meal.
It's really, I know we talked about this before, but it's crazy to really really think about it. Today, it is, what's today's date? It is January 13th, 2023.
Friday, the first Friday the 13th. Of 2023.
Spooky.
Is it though?
Okay. Well,
what makes it so spooky?
In today's date,
Yeah.
January Friday the 13th, 2023.
Yeah.
There's people who have problems with overeating,
And somebody died from starvation.
and at the exact same time, there's people who they don't have electricity.
Yep.
They don't have clean water.
Yep.
They don't even get to choose what they eat. They eat what they fucking find.
Yep.
And then we got the same person. We got the whole line of people at McDonald's right now.
Yep.
It's crazy to think about. It's so crazy to think about.
Hey, does McDonald's still have the 99 cents?
McDoubles, they have like a, yeah.
Do they? Oh, okay. I was gonna ask because I know times have changed and with inflation.
I know we talked about it, but I want to bring it up again. It's crazy to think that at a 99 cents double cheeseburger, if I just ordered that going through the drive-thru, I get 2 patties, I get a piece of cheese, I get a bun, I get ketchup,
Sauces,
mustard,
yeah.
onion, I get napkins, I get a plastic wrapper, and I get a bag. All that for 99 cents or $1.12.
Wait,
whatever the
you
tax is.
forgot. You actually get somebody to cook it for you too.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
right.
And a facility that you could sit in. Right?
right.
A parking spot.
Right.
You get all these things like for 99 cents. Like what? Honestly,
But I guess to be
it's a
fair,
pretty good deal, honestly.
to play their side.
Yeah.
Nobody's 100% of their business isn't one cheeseburger.
Yeah, that's true. They
Sitting down.
serve 1 billion people a day or something like that.
I don't know about it. I don't know. I think they said total. God knows how many people
Come on.
actually a day. But how many people a day go there? You think multiple times a day?
Right.
Yeah.
I've done it.
I've done it back then.
I've done it.
Dude, I remember me and my homie, we would always go into the pool and shit, and then
Wait. Slow down there. You said we would go into the pool and shit. Slow down. You would go into the pool.
Yeah, we would go to the pool
and shit.
and we build up an appetite.
All
and it
right.
was when McDonald's used to have like 2 Big Macs for $3, 2 for $3. It was like when it first invented.
Yeah.
That was the shit, man. We would go there. It literally be like $3.50 with tax or whatever, and it's like how are they making money on that? 2 Big Macs for $3.
I don't think they are at that point. But
Or they're just hoping that I go in there for the 2 for $3.
yeah.
But then I'm gonna buy a pop and gonna buy fries, in which they always make their money on.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna get a dessert or something.
Well, I
you
mean,
know.
we're talking about a company that's been around for so long. They play the long game, right? They know that you're a kid now and you're eating their food, but really what they're doing, they're indoctrinating you to be able to addict you to this food so that you, throughout your whole generation, continue to go.
You nailed it. Why do you think they had Happy Meals?
Yeah.
They
want
got
to get
you as a
kid,
child, dude. They embedded you with good feelings.
Yeah, for sure.
Your parents took you to McDonald's.
You
Why do you
got
think
a
they had a
toy.
play? But they got a toy.
It's an
They
investment.
gave you a playpen. They had some of them had playpens. So you nailed it.
Yeah.
Because they would at certain times, like when it's gloomy outside and maybe you're hungover.
Yeah.
When you're not feeling good, your body's like, I know how to make you feel good. Remember when you went to McDonald's? You
Yep.
felt good when you went to McDonald's.
Yeah.
Those
Nowadays,
motherfuckers.
I look at
They
it
know
very
what the
differently.
fuck.
I look at it so different nowadays because you got to think of it like this. McDonald's is like a cage, right? And it's a cage, but the gate is open, right? And when you're young, you're able to go in there, get your meal, and get out, right? But a lot of people continue to go throughout the years. At some point, they capture you. They close that gate, and you can't get away from it. It's everywhere you go. You watch TV. If there's a commercial, you're watching your food show. You think about McDonald's. You want to go get something to eat, and it's like you're indoctrinated. You're captured now at this point, and they control you. Every time they play a commercial, and there's a Big Mac on there, and you're like, oh, I want a Big Mac. Ta-da.
For sure.
Yeah.
Today we're recording for a live studio audience.
Yeah.
No, that was stupid. It was a waste of time.
There's 100,000 people in here. 100,000. No, but seriously, I only watch shows because I'm trying to answer a question in my head. So you just watch them for what? To just why do you watch the shows you watch?
Are we talking about shows, or we were talking about just commercials, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why I watch the shows I watch.
You just...
I think it's always like, for me, I'm always trying to learn stuff. I watch things like Family Guy and shit like that just to like take a break and just not think. Sometimes I feel like if you've been in your head all day from work, let's say you have to think hard for work. Actually, I talked about that. I never post anything on my Facebook, but something made me want to think about it. I go, you're no longer allowed to just work hard. Working hard's not good enough anymore. You have to think hard, right? So I'm at it. But anyways, if you're thinking all day, you're deep in thought. Sometimes it's like, I'm done.
It's exhausting.
You're exhausting. Done. You want to put something on TV and just not think ever again. Yeah. For the rest of the night, I should say.
That's what comedy is for.
Yeah, 100%. And that's exactly what I watch most of. It's mostly comedy stuff. Okay. Recently, it's been a lot of Family Guy because it's got so many jokes per minute.
Yeah.
Literally, like in a 22-minute show, they have a joke. They have at least one joke every minute. Seriously, there's always at least one. Most of the time, it's more. So it's nice. It's just random. There's no fucking. It's just all random. It's funny. All of them are funny, random jokes. And then I'll watch I've been watching a lot of Workaholics lately.
Okay, what's that?
I don't know. It's kind of like, it's just a stoner comedy that used to be on Comedy Central right before Comedy Central fucking died.
Okay.
It's about like three dudes. They're like in their 20s and they're working at like a fucking telemarketing company. It's just stoner humor. It's super, super, super funny. Okay. And they're the same way. It's like, whereas a joke after joke, it's like there's never much time. Anyways, I like laughing before I go to bed. I feel like that's
okay.
It's an undervalued thing. I think of course, everyone likes to. Have we talked about this? I don't know if we brought it up, but did I talk about like the whole why do you think we even laugh as humans? Like, why is it a thing? Evolutionary. Did we talk about that?
I don't think we have. But
okay, I talked about it. I talked about it with one of my girlfriend's friends, but I was trying to think like, why do you think humans? Why do you even think humor is a thing? Think about it, like, you don't need it to reproduce.
No.
You don't, I'm not sure if I can't really speak, but I'm not sure if there's other species that find things funny. What is
outside
funny?
Of apes and...
What is funny? Because it's not universal. What's funny to me and you is not funny maybe to the next guy.
No.
So it's like, what is the whole point of the evolutionary trait?
Do you have an explanation?
No, I think we did Google it. I forgot what it was. I'm not sure. Sure exactly.
Can you imagine? So, have you ever heard of the bicameral mind?
Mm-mm.
So what it is, it's this theory that there was a psychologist. I forgot his name, but let me look him up right here real quick. But anyways,
like a Freud.
Oh yeah. So his name was Julian Jaynes, and so basically he was trying to explain the existence of God and how the voice of God came to be, how we heard the voice of God. And so what he did is he explained that, and I'm really this, I looked at this months and months ago, so I'm not going to remember it exactly, but if you want to ever look it up, his name is Julian Jaynes. And so what he did was he asked the question, imagine a time when you were a ape, when you were, you know, that cross between ape and human, like that in between, and you were coming down from the trees, and now you were in the savannah and you're eating mushrooms and stuff, and now your brain is slowly coming into, what do we call it, consciousness, but it's not yet conscience, but it's starting to, and then it takes the body.
I think as soon as you're aware of your existence, you're aware.
Okay, but it didn't happen. It didn't happen as a spark, or it didn't happen as a complete thing. It had to have happened in sections. And so that's the argument that he's making. He's saying that when we as human beings, or Homo sapiens, or whatever we were at the time before we became what we are today, if at all that is an actual thing, what he's saying is when we were apes and we came down off the trees onto land, onto the savannah, and were foraging for food outside of the trees and the family structure that we lived in our tribe, he's saying that at some point that ape mind started to evolve, and that ape mind started talking to the body. And what he's saying is that it had to have been that the brain evolved first, and later the comprehension of the fact that you're a being and you exist on this plane. And so that's how he tries to explain that the voice of God came to be. And so I wonder if, you know, laughter has something to do with, like, I don't know, the restructuring or the reorganizing of your brain when you're tired and you like don't want to think. You know, you want to get to the point where you're like, okay, I need to relax. I don't want to think. I want to go into the subconscious. You know how when you're driving a car and it's like you're in zombie mode where like you're an autopilot. Yeah, you're listening to music, but you're not really listening to music. You're driving, but you're not actually driving, and you're there, but you're not actually, nothing is happening because there's nothing outside of the normal actions that are occurring that allows your consciousness to turn back on and be like, oh, I got to pay attention. You understand?
Yeah.
So I wonder if it's one of those things where your body, mind, and soul, I don't know if it's the soul is included in there, but I wonder if it goes into a state where it's like, I don't want to think anymore. I'm tired of the thinking. I'm going to let somebody think for me.
Right.
And then you go into that zombie mode, and all of a sudden there's a surprise, almost like when somebody tries to cut you off in your car. You're driving, you're in autopilot or zombie mode, and then somebody tries to cut you off. And when they do that, your consciousness turns on and goes like, oh, we need to react now. And you react. And I wonder if your brain is like shutting off, allowing somebody to think about, or allowing somebody to think for you, and then they hit you with a surprise that turns on consciousness, and you're like, ha, 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 ha. I wonder if that has something to do with it. I don't know. And again, I'm just a dummy.
There's a couple things as you were talking, I was thinking. Okay. First, I was thinking, okay, at some point, there was millions of Homo sapiens or whatever, let's say pre-consciousness.
Yeah.
Do you think consciousness started with one person?
No. I don't think so.
How could we know? We will never know. So, if that's not true, if it's not a singular ape or a mix between ape and what we think is us as human Homo sapiens as we are now, if there was it's crazy because what would happen? Is it a group of them eating? Okay, there's a theory that a group of them all ate mushrooms at the same time.
Yeah,
and they can develop, and the whole 15 to 30 of them or 50 or 100 of them all at the same time ate this thing, and they all became this thing, and they all of a sudden they could formulate language.
Yeah. So talk about that. So that's the stoned ape theory.
Yeah, that's
what exactly do they say about the stoned ape theory?
I don't know. We talked about it before. It's that wasn't my point. Let me make my point before I try to explain what that is. So, if we think it was a group of them that ate at one time, that's one thing. But I'm starting to think like it had to have started with one person, one singular thing. Because if it didn't start with an abnormality, because that's kind of what evolution supposedly is, right? It's kind of just abnormalities that kind of keep changing, right? And the strongest version of it survives, and the weaker parts don't. And it's kind of just an abnormality that keeps breaking through and making a new level of evolution. So, consciousness... It's interesting to think about, because I like to always think about like language. Like it started with one. It couldn't have been a collective all at the same time start speaking. I think it had to have literally started with like one. One taught the other ones, and then that one that taught the other one, passed its genes, so it was more chances that it would speak. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't feel like it's like an event. Like, all of a sudden the sun goes down and the sun rises, and all of a sudden 4 million fucking apes are contemplating life.
No, I don't think that's how it happens. The way I think it happens is evolution, or the way that I understand evolution, it happens in such a tiny incremental stage where it's like, so for instance, take a moth, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say this moth there's a black moth, right? And what ends up happening is one moth is born just slightly lighter than the other moth.
Right.
Right? And so what ends up happening is, let's say this moth is light enough to where now some of the trees where the other moths would hide are now slowly going extinct. Let's just say, for instance, these trees are going extinct. So now it's allowing the darker moths to be more visible to birds. Those start to die off. Mm-hmm. And then the lighter gray moth tends to survive. He tends to be able to multiply or pass on his genes.
Right.
And then in turn, slowly, through very, very incremental, tiny, minuscule movements, they start to change the color of the moths. Right? If it gets windier, the moths who are born with slightly stronger muscles or more density in their exoskeleton, those are the ones who are going to survive, because the lighter ones are going to be blown away, not be able to get food, or for whatever reason. But the evolution part of it, it's very, very slow. So I don't think it happened with just one ape or all of them all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. And again, I don't know, I wasn't there, right? And I'm not a scientist, so I can't prove any of this shit because I'm a fucking idiot. But what I'm saying is, like, I think it happened very, very slowly. If we're talking in the terms of language, I mean, it probably started off as a point, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I want that. Can I take that? And then the other ape is like, there's an anger thing, and then there's like because you can communicate, right? We have all these ways to communicate. We have our eyesight, touch, smell. There's all kind of ways to communicate, and each one of them is incrementally different. But I think that through that tiny, minuscule, almost unnoticeable change throughout long periods of time. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
That's how it changes. It doesn't just happen with one person. It happens incrementally.
But I always think it does. I think it always starts with one, because it can't start as a collective. It's always one lighter gray moth that finally reproduced, and then out of his litter there was 2 gray moths, and then they fucking reproduced.
Yeah, you're talking about like a mutation.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's all evolution is, like some mutation that latched on that ended up working. But you're also right, there is like certain bright colored plants had to evolve to be bright because they had to attract, things for them to, certain birds or insects to pass their pollen on. So I feel like it has to start with one singular thing, though.
Yeah.
Because it can't be like, oh, these 15 butterflies at one time all did the same one thing, and then it started the whole new trait of butterflies. And I always feel like it's one that started it, and then it's like, that thing kept reproducing, and it all kept and then the whole. I think a lot of us can't comprehend how long evolution really is.
No, I don't think we can either.
Like our mere 100 years on this earth is not even close to the millions of years that trees have been evolving and shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so that's hard to. I remember my mom one time we were talking about some shit, and she's like, "How come we don't see no changes? We don't see other animals aren't evolving." And I remember watching, I don't know if it was like a Rogan or something, but they were talking about evolution and like just the real vastness on how long things take to evolve.
Yeah.
Our little fucking monkey brains can't even comprehend it. And so like, it was like a perfect example. My mom, she's like, "Hey, how come nothing else has changed?" I'm like, yeah, it's because you can't even think about how long things take. It took a long time for a wolf to be a fucking chihuahua.
Yeah.
That shit didn't happen in 200 years.
Nope.
That shit happened in thousands of years. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how long chihuahuas have been around. But to get from a fucking wolf that looks pretty much like I don't know, I guess the other dog that looks like a wolf is an Alaskan Husky. That's the only close, I think, visually. And then it's like, to get to a Chihuahua, it's like, dude, how many deformed dogs had to reproduce to get to Chihuahua?
Yeah.
Right? That's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, there obviously there has to be a mutation, right? And then we talked about how like all that information is in the genes, right? Because something evolves, but there has to be an event for it to evolve. Because I think about if going back to the moths, if you have the same moth, but it has to fly farther to get to a source of food because they're too condensed in one area, one has to fly just slightly farther, and it's windier there. Mm-hmm. Its exoskeleton, its wings, it's going to develop stronger muscles, and when it breeds, its children are going to be stronger, and you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And eventually, over time, as it moves away from the original place where it started off, it will change eventually. Either you change or you die.
Yeah.
And so with a smaller creature, I could see it happening faster, which supposedly, what's our evolution guy? Oh God, this is embarrassing.
Oh, the person who came up with it?
Yeah, the USS
Darwin?
Eagle. Darwin. That's what I'm thinking about. So Darwin actually was able to record the finch's beaks changing over a period of time, like a short period of time. Like he noticed it before his eyes. And this is what the theory of evolution is. It's a theory, right? We haven't really proven it. It's not proven, but there are some.
I know we talk about that.
It's the theory of evolution, not the fact of evolution.
History. So it's such a sketchy subject because first off, there's no way you can ever know 100%. Now you can go on texts and books that were written, but let's face it. History is always written by the winner. So, I don't know, man.
Facts.
There's a lot of things that feel natural, and there's like a lot of things, but there's a lot of things that don't make sense that they claim they have answers for. I don't know, religion always gets real sketchy with me.
Why? Because
they try to tell you, I don't know, I feel like anything that tries to give you the answer to the afterlife, if they're trying to sell you on something, it's bullshit.
All right, can I ask you?
But I do I'm not talking full shit because I think a lot of the I don't think any Bible, all of them, are meant to be taken literal. I think you're supposed to get like what are the bullet points of like general guidelines of how to live. Because I don't think any of I mean I don't know I don't know a lot about all the Bibles, but I know the because I know, I don't know, fucking some of these Muslim places are crazy with some of their beliefs, but I know most Bibles are like, just be a good person, treat people how you want to be treated, you know, don't steal. It just seems kind of like just basic guidelines on how to be a good person. It's like, don't fucking, you know.
Yeah, it's deeper than that, and I think it's connected to science, psychology, facts, allegory. I mean, I think it's connected to everything. It's our history, and it goes back hundreds of thousands of years, and I think these are stories that were told throughout generations, and they were written down later. I mean, thousands of years later, we decided to write them down.
That's crazy. It's like, even if like you told a story to your friend 10 years ago, if you told the same story again 10 years later, it's going to be different.
Yeah, but the main idea is there.
Sure.
You know, and that's what I think. I would have to embellish and make some changes, sure, but the main point is like we ate the cake at the end.
Yeah.
Right, and then as time goes on, I either become a better storyteller or a worse storyteller, and everybody's going to conform it to kind of like what they. But I think that there is a story to be told, and I think there are teachings to be learned within that confines of those books that are all in one Bible. And no, for me, I think I think it's very necessary.
Okay.
Because I mean, think about so like, what makes you believe what you believe? You can't prove a lot of the things that you believe. Have you been to the moon? Nope. Theory of evolution? Can you prove it? Nope. Have you seen the numbers? Can you? It's all based on faith. So how come my shit is...
I would say, yeah, I feel like I tend to believe what instinctually feels right.
Yeah. Which is funny because, so you've been able to sit down and actually think about many of the things that you've been indoctrinated to think over the period of time through the things that you've watched.
Sure.
But you want to discredit the things that I've been put in front of and been indoctrinated and been... basically taught to believe, and it's all the same. It's all faith, and basically we're just trying to live better for tomorrow, for us, our family, the future.
I don't have a problem with religion pointing you in the right direction, you know, and trying to tell you there, because I do think there's better ways of living a human life. There is no correct way to live a human life. There's no correct way, because it's all subjective. What's good for you could be bad for me, vice versa. There's like I said before, like what's good for the lion is bad for the gazelle. It's all perspective. Everything. So I think there's better ways, and I think there's always guidelines, because you can't say murder is bad. Right? You can't say murder is bad.
Okay.
What do I mean by that? Okay. Right?
Yeah. Explain yourself, because
you can't say murder is bad.
Okay.
Because if a man breaks in your house and has your son in his grasps, and you have something to kill him with, you're gonna kill that person.
Yeah. Technically, that's not considered murder.
I get you're right. You're killing I should have said killing a human being isn't bad.
Yeah. You
can't say killing a human being is bad, because it's subjective. Because what if you're defending your family? You had to kill this person. It's all subjective. All of it is. Because what's crazy is, if I murdered you, I would have all type of psychology probably fucking with me. Probably, because I'm a good person. It would fuck with me. But you break in my house and you're on top of my girlfriend and I kill you, it's probably a whole different justification in my brain that allows me to live the next day. Yeah. With you know what I'm saying? Like that whole, I wouldn't have. I probably have a little bit of PTSD. I'm sure there's a little bit involved, taking a life and the whole adrenaline of the whole. My life was in danger. I'm sure that's a whole level of like a chemical. Your body's probably feeling crazy.
Yeah.
When you genuinely defend your life, it's different than being late for work. Than defending your actual life. It's probably a whole different...
Jesus.
You're right? So, other than that, like murdering a person is, on accident is a whole different psychological game from defending your family. But it's still the same thing. It's still taking a life. So, I don't know if there's any inherent... There's no such thing as good and bad. I think there is... just perception, and like I said, there's no such thing as being a good person. I don't think there's a correct. I should say correct. I think there's good. You can be a good human, and I think it's a good general. I think there's a lot of things you could say, but there's no correct way to live a human, because you can't necessarily say a serial killer is living a life any more correct than a church-going person, because there's no. It just is. We make everything what it is. We made laws. We made what are good people. We made what are bad people. We made those things. It's not a real thing.
Yeah, so our world is made up of different kinds of kingdoms, right? There's the animal kingdom, right? The plant kingdom, the mycelium kingdom, the fungi kingdom, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's made up of those kingdoms. And each one of the... Am I boring you, dude? Are you yawning on the goddamn mic?
Yeah, dude, I'm tired
Holy
of
shit. God damn
I know,
it.
we had some. I just feel like I'm like alcohol tired. Not like literally tired, but I caught a buzz earlier and now I'm coming down.
Fucking believable.
I'm sorry, I was mouth wide open on that.
All right. Anyways, I think as we have these animal kingdoms, there's one thing that's always in the forefront of everything. It's evolution never stops. It has to continue. There's constant improvement on every species that's on this planet and every animal kingdom.
Right.
And I think for someone to say that there is no right way to live, no, there isn't like one right way to live. But if you're living according to the kingdom you're in and you're pushing forward through the time, space, evolution thing, or and you're moving forward your community, what would you call it? It's not even community, it's your species. If you're moving forward your species, then you're doing the right thing, right? If you're killing it off or destroying it, then you're doing the wrong thing, and it's kind of like that's the evil thing. And then the right thing to do is move forward and produce, but not produce. Yeah, produce productively to push your species in a better direction.
Yeah, but what about all the people who don't have kids?
So no, I'm not saying it doesn't have to be kids, right? Because you could do something in your, whether you have kids or not, you could do something in your life that's going to benefit many, many people. Maybe it's a podcast, or maybe it's, I don't know, you create a dish that we call the Dino and not macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think I still stand by. I don't think there's a correct. I don't think there is. I think good and bad is subjective. I think we can agree that some things are better, right? We shouldn't go around killing people on a killing spree. I think most people can agree to that. But there's some psycho people who think that's like might be a good idea.
But the fact that they're psycho means that they're missing something. They're flawed, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but what is a flaw? If a human's able to do it, it's subjective. If it's a flaw, well, there's some people who are autistic.
Yep.
And maybe they're socially awkward.
Yep.
but they're fucking math geniuses.
Right. Yeah.
Society would say they're weirdos, but like maybe programmers and mathematicians like, no, these are the fucking smartest people we got.
I would say maybe they're evolving to do a function that we at a time didn't need, and they would be killed off anyways, and now there's a need for them, and they've evolved to a job that they have to do to push us forward to the next. And then like murderers,
but somehow we don't use those people as that.
We do in the military.
Well, I know we also did in the meat industry as well. There's that lady there, I forgot what her name was, but she was like an autistic chick, and she figured out that how to make the cows happier before slaughter.
Oh, cool.
I forgot what it was, but she devised the system of like putting the because there used to be a system where like the cows would fall into this water ditch, and that would clean them up, and then they would push them out, and meanwhile they're freaking out this whole time, you know. But she would figure out like a better way of
humane,
like more humane of them getting through the things and then being cleaned, and then before they die, having a more calm. Anyway, she was like autistic or something. I forgot what it was. It was like an HBO movie. But there's definitely those people, but we mostly view like, you know, the different people as like outcasts. It's like I don't know if there's going to be a time where it's like, oh no, autistic people are the people we should be listening to. I don't think that's
no. I think everybody plays a role, and I think that there's enough people on the planet where we have many jobs that all need to be filled in order to continue this move forward, that autistic people play a role, and I think they were allowed at this time. We allowed them to be, because in another generation, in a different lifetime, they would have died. The parents wouldn't have raised them. They would have killed them, or they would have gotten eaten by animals if we were hunter-gatherers, right? So there was no reason for that that gene structure to be able to survive. It wouldn't, because everybody needed to do their part when we were in small groups, right? But now our society is so big. We have so many jobs. Some are general, some are very really deeply task orientated, that it's like one thing, and autistic people are able to focus on like one thing very deeply, right? That's one of the traits.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like
Elon Musk.
Well, that's what I was
on
thinking.
The spectrum.
Like, what's interesting is like you can get maybe an autistic person who narrows in on a specific thing, and even if they didn't nail it, they maybe could have brought awareness to like how deep you got to think about something, and that's what like can be the change. It's like maybe not all autistic people are the persons who change it, but because they think differently, maybe they narrow in on something.
Yep.
It sparks the next person to be like, oh, I need to focus on this and then this.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I know what you're saying, because you talked about this before about evolutionary traits of like different genes that, you know, we don't think is like useful now, but maybe in the bigger scheme it's the future of it.
Right.
Yeah, it could be like a misguided, narrow focused gene that maybe is in the wrong kind of body, and it gets expressed this type of way. But I think there's probably we can't. There's nothing that will change in the human. If we all identically thought the same, we would all have the same results all the time. It's the fact that none of us think the same is why we have change and why we keep growing. I think that's a part of it. I think that's everything.
Yeah, and so that speaks and hopefully pushes towards my point that if all these mutations happen within ourselves, does that actually speak towards an intelligence that's not us making these changes throughout time, space, generation, lifetimes, infinity? That speaks to something that allowed us to make that change. Because you didn't make the change inside of you, but something did. And what allowed it? What brought it forth? Why is it there?
I mean,
these are the questions.
Yeah, but that's probably the same question and answer. That's like, what is my thinking? What is consciousness? That's all the same question. Like, what is an idea is a crazy question.
Right.
Think about it, what our ideas are. It's like I have had ideas of things that aren't even possible. That it's weird. All right, I made a Snapchat one time. I was really high.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, I might have kicked your camera with my butt.
Yeah, second time now.
What is a brand new idea? Think about that.
Like a brand new, never thought of before idea?
Exactly.
What does it take to come up with a brand new idea?
What is it? Because where did it even come from? How did it enter into your thought process? Sometimes an idea comes over unprovoked. Something out of left field, like I never thought about it. It's like, I don't know if your brain knows how to make a culmination of things you've learned, so you can always be on the fringe of what you've learned, and somehow it can create a new idea, and that's what a new idea is. Or are new ideas just a whole different frequency of something we haven't discovered yet? We don't even know how to really. We just use our measly words in language for what thought is. Maybe thought's a deeper thing that our monkey brain can't comprehend.
Yeah.
But thoughts come to us. It's interesting because they come out of nowhere, or what we think is nowhere. It's like I've never had this thought. I never thought of taking a baby and kicking him. Why did I come up with that? Has anyone done that?
You're a bad person.
I'm just saying, I've had those thoughts. Like, where did that come from? Where did that idea of physically taking that crying baby that's on this plane, I know we talk about this a lot of times on a plane, but I've had thoughts of drop kicking it like a soccer ball. Of course, I would never take one step towards that actual idea. But I'm not alone of literally thinking that idea, that whole image. Like, where did that come from? And it's unprovoked. Now, sometimes
It's obviously your parents didn't hold you enough when you were a child.
It's like sometimes you can affect your thoughts. Like, you can daydream, right? Daydreaming is like, oh, what would it be like to have $1 million? Okay, I would buy this thing and I would do that thing. And you can think about those things. But, like, a new idea, it's so interesting. Where does it come from?
So I've had this thought before, and I've never said it because I haven't been able to actually like formulate it really. But right now that you're asking these questions now, it's kind of coming to me. So I've often had this thought. I was watching a podcast with Mike Tyson. He was on the Impulsive podcast with the Paul brother.
Okay.
Anyways, he was on the podcast and he was talking about mushrooms. And as he put the mushroom in his mouth, he said, we're more like mushrooms. We're closer to mushrooms than any other species on the planet. And he said that, he basically talked about mushrooms. And what I know about mushrooms is that mushrooms is kind of like a plant, right? It grows from mycelium, which are the little veiny things that you, like if you ever picked up a rotting tree in the forest and you see these like white veins, that's mycelium. And through that mycelium, it creates a mushroom, which they're both different parts. And so, but the mushroom, even though it's kind of like a plant, plants breathe in carbon dioxide and they create oxygen. And then we breathe in oxygen and create carbon dioxide. Mushrooms do the same. They breathe in oxygen and expel carbon dioxide. So I thought about this. I thought about the brain, right? Because they say that the brain has all these neurons, right? And through those neurons, there's all these electrical, there's lighting up of the brain that occurs. And then that creates thought, that creates experience, that creates memory, that creates like creativity, all that stuff, right? It makes things. Or it sees things and then brings them out to life. I often thought about slugs because I think about the brain and I think about slugs. And if you ever seen a brain, a gelatinous brain, it actually, a brain, it actually looks like a slug.
Okay.
And so if you look at a slug, I always think like, goddamn, that looks like a goddamn mushroom, you know? Okay. I'm sorry, it doesn't look like a mushroom. The slug looks like a brain. And then that I imagine that at one time throughout the span of all of the eternal evolution that we've experienced, and I don't even know if evolution is an actual thing, but I'm thinking if evolution is a thing, and I guess I'm making an argument for evolution, if the slug was able to over time get onto the mushroom, eat it somehow, right? And somehow figure out over generations, over thousands of years, figure out how to control the mushroom. Mm-hmm. And at some point it melds into the mushroom, right? And they become two different parts, but now they're one, almost like a host, right? Mm-hmm. And a body. And that slug somehow in us, like the mushroom is our body or our carcass, and the slug is controlling all the paths that make movement and thought, but the slug is the actual thing that's communicating with the body. In some weird way, I almost want to imagine that the slug is the brain on the mushroom, and our brain is a slug, and our body is the mushroom. I don't know if that's like deep stoner talk.
No, but what I was
really weird.
What I was trying to think as you were talking was, I feel like everything is just a part of a pattern, right? Everything, I don't know, man. I feel like everything needs each other. Everything is. I know I kicked it again. My bad. Everything is. I don't know, man. I think we try to comprehend certain things. And I don't know, man. I just don't.
That's what consciousness is. We want to make sense of
yes.
it. We want to make sense of what we're doing here, why we're here. And that's the question. Like, you're not truly happy unless you figure out and you're living according to what your purpose is. And then seeking that out, finding that out is like one of the most difficult things, right?
Would you consider yourself happy?
No.
Come on, man. All right, how do we change that? What aren't you happy about?
I mean,
specifics. I want specific. What are you specifically not happy about?
I think, okay, so I enjoy being around people, mm-hmm. but I also enjoy being away from people. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes I can see the people around me wanting to hang out with me, and I just I don't want to.
Okay.
And so that kind of brings me, like, it makes me feel like I'm not good enough sometimes. And I don't know, again, I don't know if it's because my parents didn't hold me enough or what it is. I don't know what that is. But I get these moments of where, like, man, it's like I feel like I'm avoiding certain things. And because I'm avoiding certain things in my conscience, I feel that it is an actual real thing because I feel like I'm not doing what it asks or I'm going against it. And in some weird way, because I'm avoiding something or when you avoid something and you're not doing what is it called, procrastinate, mm-hmm. that thing gets me in trouble lots of times. And so I can feel when people want to be around me or they'll call me and I just don't have it to give.
So that's making your life unhappy right now, is that people have...
Sometimes, not in every case, because I do enjoy being...
That's just, I feel like that's something you want to change about yourself. I'm trying to say, is like a general of your life, you don't feel happy?
No.
I feel like...
I'm happy 80% of the time.
Okay. I was going to say, just from the outside looking in, you're a successful dude. You got your head on straight. You got some good kids. It's like, I would say, I don't know what you don't have much to be happy about. But everyone's different, It's like how they view... I feel like happiness... Everyone has a different, like, maybe standard.
Yeah.
But I think if you have a certain few basic things, like a few standard things, I would say is like, do you feel, I think, especially as a man, do you feel happy about your money status, right? And I think at some level we're both are like, okay, you know, of course we want more and better, of course, but it's like we're not doing bad, right? We're eating, we have our shit. So that's a good thing. And it's like, you know, do you have some people who love you? It's like, yeah, there are some people who definitely love you. Because it's interesting to think about, like, there's not every human have someone who actually loves them.
There are some that do not.
There are some humans who are walking around who don't have someone who actually genuinely loves them.
Yep.
So, you know, for me, a lot of my source of my happiness is like just a lot of my basic shit, dude. So much basic shit is met. It's like, dude, I live in a house, I have a roof over my head, I eat the foods I want, I have a job that pays me pretty decent, and I have friends and I have family who loves me. It's like, so if you ask me if I'm happy, it's like, yeah, dude, I'm pretty happy. Of course I want like more, and I'm not trying to sound greedy or selfish. It's like I have a high expectation. I feel like I can do more, and I want more in that regard. But it's like, I'm pretty happy, man. I don't have a lot to complain about. And like I said last episode, it's like I'm not fucking complaining about shit, because I feel like the more you own your shit, the more you realize you're in charge of your own happiness. And it's like, I mean, I'm pretty happy. I mean, you know, overall, I'm pretty happy, man. Of course, it'd be nice to, like, not have to physically fucking work for my money anymore, you know? We're both fucking in construction. We both paint and fucking beat our bodies up, expose ourselves to fucking God knows dangers, and we're not going to know the fucking repercussions until fucking years later, but I don't know.
So check this out. So here is something that I was reading the other day.
Okay, this article, this guy, all right,
this is on Reddit.
I don't know if we're gonna pull this up on the screen, but just so we can get you, we're on Reddit, and this article says Texas judge gives 7-year-old right to decide custody. All right, a 7-year-old boy was at the center of a country courtroom drama yesterday when he challenged a court ruling who should have had custody of him. The boy had a history of being beaten by his parents, and the judge. Oh shit! I'm sorry, buddy. The judge awarded custody to his aunt in keeping with child custody regulation requiring the family unity be maintained to the highest degree possible. Okay.
The boy surprised the court when he proclaimed that his aunt beats him. So the judge is trying to give custody from one parent to the other, and he says, no, my parent is beating me. So the judge says, we're going to give you to the other parent. And he says, that person beats me as well. And he says, well, who do I give you to? He's like, I'll give you over to your aunt. And he says, the thing about it, judge, is she beats me the hardest.
The third person.
Yeah. So the judge is like, so what do I do? Right? And so there was all this domestic violence in the household. What I'm saying is some people grow up with no parents. So what the boy ended up doing was, the judge said, so who do you think I should give you over to? Is there somebody you have? He said, yes. He says, if you read that second to last line, it says, after 2 recesses to check the legal references with the child welfare officials, the judge granted temporary custody to the Dallas Cowboys.
The fucking what?
Yeah, dude.
Okay, there had to been how are they linked to the fucking Dallas Cowboys?
Well, there is no link, but he liked the Dallas Cowboys, and so he gave custody temporarily to the Dallas Cowboys until he figures out exactly how to help this boy. But I mean, yes, some people grow up.
That's such a random left turn of a story I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, and then the Cowboys. It's like, what?
Well, but the point is, some people grow up with no love.
That's so. I know, exactly. There's a lot of things that I go through a checklist of things that I'm grateful for.
Yeah,
and having parents who loved me is definitely on there, because there's a definitely huge percentage of people who grow up with parents who don't love them, let alone 2 parents that love them.
Yeah,
you're lucky if you get 1, right? I had 2, they didn't, work out in the end or whatever, but they held it together until at least I was 14. So it was like, after 14, it's like I understood, shit. But yeah, I don't know. There's not a lot of people who grow up with love, and then it's like all the craziest people in society, all the serial killers, all the fucking, a lot of them you can almost pinpoint to crazy childhoods, some fucked up childhoods, some raping, some whatever, and it always leads to some fucking crazy shit. So,
right.
Yeah.
What they say is like hurt people hurt people. And yeah, I mean, there's so much that you need to be happy in life. And one of the things is being held by a loving parent. And how many children grow up nowadays that, or just throughout the history, right? Times are better now, but throughout history, throughout the beginning of time, some children just didn't survive. Some parents were like, well, you know what? I cannot feed this child. We already have too many in the house. How many? I mean, it's happened. Think about the scenario. It's happened. Did they drown a child? Yes. Did they throw a child in front of a car? Possibly. Did they feed the child to a bear? Yeah, it probably happened. Because not everybody grows up with love.
No. There's some people who grow up with like no affection too. It's like, can you imagine?
That's love too, right?
Yeah, right. But it's kind of it's crazy to think. Who was it that? I don't know if it was Ted Kaczynski or one of those like Unabombers. I don't know. It was one of these crazy people who they were part of an experiment that they were physically not touched by their as an infant.
It was Ted Kaczynski
for several months.
Yep.
So it's like all that matters. I think all that matters. Sure. It's like love and affection and.
Well, think about it, dude. You're parents. A baby, right? Mm-hmm. And you were just introduced into a world, right? You were living inside a belly where you were connected to the human being, directly connected to the human being that you're growing inside of.
Wouldn't it have been wild if you had memories of being in the womb?
Yeah.
That would be awesome. Fucking wild.
That would be awesome.
If you were conscious, like, okay, I'm in this pink, fluid, like, warm fucking place.
Yeah.
And you just had to deal with being in there for, let me you're aware for 3 months.
Yeah. You sleep most of the time. Your placenta eats for you. It feeds you. It breathes for you. It does everything for you.
You just get to start having your first thoughts. And then, man, that'd be fucking wild if you had memories of that. Okay, speaking of that, because it's interesting, it's kind of hard. Like, what do you think what is some of your first memories? What is something the longest you can go back on?
Yeah, I know I have like a core memory of my childhood, which was the day I think I woke up. I've talked about it before.
I don't think I can remember. Man, I can have like I can have maybe some flashes of like 3.
I think I was 6 when I remember.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I was a slow grower, I guess.
No, but I don't know. I think I'm lying to I don't know. It's kind of interesting to try to think. It's interesting to try to think about, to pinpoint your first memory, because I don't know if you can memories. The more studies they do on it, it's like they're not really reliable. Like, you could lie to yourself about some kind of detail you didn't realize, and all of a sudden it just over time it grew to be some other fucking.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the brain, right? It's like some things. And how about when you smell something, it brings you back, or music, it brings you back to a memory.
Hell yeah!
It just shoots you back into time.
Yeah, like we were talking about earlier, music is definitely one of those things. I think it's like it's kind of like a drug in the sense that it could definitely change your state of being.
A drug.
So quickly, too. Think about all the drugs you take. If you drink alcohol, if you took a shot, I would say, especially, let's say you're a lightweight and you're on, if you're on your empty stomach. If you took a shot, I would say maybe 20 to 30 minutes later, you're going to start feeling some effects. If you smoke weed's pretty fast. You take a hit of weed, I would say in a couple minutes, you're probably feeling it. Other drugs, acids, fucking 30 minutes plus. Mushrooms, 30 minutes plus. Music You can hear music in fucking seconds or a minute of the song. Your whole mood's changed. It's a drug, dude. It's a pretty powerful one. It's a non-lethal. We don't call it a drug, but it should be because it changes your fucking chemistry. And that's what drugs do. That's what, coffee I think should be called a drug because it does the same thing. You're not the same after drinking it.
Yeah, I think there's a negative connotation when you say drug.
Right.
But yeah.
Mind altering, right? Because that's what you think. But music's mind altering. You're different. Listening to there's some songs that, dude, I'm fucking hyped and I'm at the gym and I'm going fucking hard and it's like, yeah, a lot of I've had Spotify for a minute. I've had Spotify since like Spotify became a thing, and my playlist has been since day one. All I do is keep adding to it. So I have like well over 2,000 songs on my playlist. It's mostly songs of albums that I liked and I made it all on one thing. And then when new shit comes out that I hear that people drop, I keep adding it to my playlist. So I have a huge playlist, and it's the same music. So I go to the gym, I listen to the same music, and not every day it's the same set, but it's the same music over the whole year. And it makes me feel a type of way. It's like, I want to listen to this music because I feel fucking a type of way. And it makes me feel fucking like I want to work out.
Yeah, man, music is incredible. And if you think about it and you break it down, it's just a noise.
Right.
It's a noise that comes in waves of symphonic variations that literally controls your state of mind.
Yeah, but so is language. Right?
Yeah, language is that too.
Somebody's screaming at you, it makes you either angry or upset.
And somebody who speaks very well is able to calm you.
Yeah, exactly. Right? So sound is
all mind altering. Hey, have you ever heard of the Spoon Lady talking about sound?
No.
So this lady's incredible, man.
Abby the Spoon Lady.
Abby the Spoon Lady. She's incredible, man. She's like I think she's originally from Kentucky. So, but what she did is she grew up in a household that did not love her.
No, she's from Kansas.
Oh, Kansas.
Okay. Says it right there on the page.
Oh, I see it. Oh, there it is. Anyways, so this lady, she grew up in a household with no love.
It says Spoon Lady blog, new release, How I Learned to Play Spoons. So what if I don't have teeth? Turning up the musical silverware spoon playing techniques.
Dude, we gotta see this. All right, so I'm gonna show this now. But anyway, so this lady,
she said, "So what? I don't have teeth."
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's not about the teeth, dude. It's about the symphony that she plays.
Think about the 3 minutes she saves every morning not having to brush.
Okay, that's cool.
But
joking. Dude, she'll never enjoy like hard food.
Right.
You know that part.
Great blowjobs, though. For sure.
Maybe.
No. She was queen. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Know. But anyways, I want to show you this video. She grew up in a place with no love.
How'd you come across this?
She left. I read Reddit. I'm on Reddit all the time.
Reddit's interesting. I've never really surfed it, but if you are on Reddit hard, then you're on like the pulse of like
a lot of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. All right, play some.
So, anyways, I'm going to show you this, guys. Check it out. I want to say a couple of things about her. She obviously she grew up with no love. I said that like 100 times, but Dino keeps cutting me off. God damn it.
Sorry.
All right. So, anyways, then she got married really young, but to abusive man, and she left. She became homeless, and she traveled the United States, east to west, 5-6 times, north and south, 2 or 3 times. But anyways, she's been all over the country, and the way she was able to make her money, to be able to survive and get to the next place, just to be able to eat,
was definitely suck dick.
Spoons.
Ooh.
Somebody taught her how to play the spoons, and she's incredible. They make this great music. She's if you're ever out in North Carolina.
Wait, she's currently living.
Yeah. But check this out. She's amazing.
Are they gonna be able to... Damn it. Fuck.
There she is. plays the spoons.
I mean, she doesn't do any meth. No way. No way.
Swagger, bro.
Okay. So far, I don't hate it. Okay. This is the type of shit you come across when you're like fucking...
Bro, this is the blues, bro.
Dude, this just proves anyone with a goddamn camera can just put out content.
No, bro. You're missing the point.
I'm not hating.
This is amazing.
Good. What she's doing doesn't seem that
I hate you, bro. I fucking hate you, dude.
I don't see the whole wow factor of this, to be honest. I mean, does it sound... I mean, it sounds decent. Like, this is a cool, like, okay, cool. But she's got, like... Her rhythm is pretty, like... Dude, she's got meth mouth. Like, dude, she's jonesing. But I don't know, dude. I look at her. I'm sorry. I'm being very judgmental. I know, but
you're missing the whole point.
You know,
no one has the same path. But look at where she is today. She's playing spoons on YouTube, bro.
It does not mean she's making $1 off this.
Well, how many enough views to survive?
How many views has it got?
7 million.
Oh, really?
No.
You trip! I would have been fucking shocked.
I can't see the views. I don't know. I can't see the views. Oh. So I don't understand why.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah, so it's not showing the views. But anyway, she has tons of views. She's amazing. Anyway, so there's
that. That's weird. Why don't they have it? Well, you can't tell if a video is successful or not.
Right.
Huh. Maybe because you're not actually on YouTube and you're on fucking
maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, you're on Yahoo. Yahoo, I mean. Who goes to Yahoo for videos?
I just typed it in. That's where it went.
Yeah, exactly. So you go to YouTube and they got the fucking... Is there any... Have you seen any good movies or anything lately?
Nah, but there was a movie that I do want to watch. I actually wrote it down in that.
Would you watch... What about that Avatar movie?
64 million views she has on that video.
Oh, you're right. 5 years? But holy fuck.
Yeah, bro. And look,
okay, who is that guy, though? Who's Chris Rogers?
Another homeless guy who traveled via freight trains. These are street performers, dude.
Okay, what's her subscriber? What she got? 481 subscribers. God, see, dude, what the fuck? Like,
I say, let's follow her program. You remove your teeth.
I'm not gonna do that, but I do feel like, what the fuck? It's like, it's unbelievable some of these people's level of reach. Dude, there's like that Asian little boy who's like 10 years old or less who makes like $20 million a year playing with fucking toys on YouTube.
Are you complaining? Because I heard this year you were...
I'm not complaining. I'm just like, what the fuck? I need to get me a piece of that. I don't know, man. I don't know. No, I don't know. Who knows, dude? Nobody likes this shit. We're not going to get that fucking...
Does she remind you of anybody we work with? Don't say the name.
Her? Who does she look like? Dude. Yeah.
I have to edit this out.
No.
I'm not going to say that.
A little bit of that redneck look. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. What do you think about? We should wrap
That's it, folks. Up. Thanks for listening.
Hey, if you watched every second to this point, I personally thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. Give us a like. Comment something. Say that hey you guys sucked. Say hey, we really like the background. Hey, did you guys get a new studio? Maybe we did get a new studio. Maybe we did. Anyways, man. Hey, we love you. Appreciate you. Thank you. Peace.